Okay, guys, today we got a special one, man. We get to hang out with the Honorable Jason Hutton of Fox 17 News. And listen, guys, we got a jam-packed video for you today. We're going to unpack a lot of stuff of this remarkable man. So please tap in and listen to this conversation as we go deep on some of the things that makes him who he is. To kick it off, Jay, first we want to say welcome, man. Thank you for not only allowing us to hang out with you, but for you making the time to hang out with us on today.
No, it's an honor for me. I can't believe you guys asked me to do it. Like, I'm thrilled.
Man, actually, you was our first one. You was our first one. And so just as it relates to sports, and we like to talk about deeper than sports, and then when we looked at you, for one, we follow you, but to know your body of work and to know what we're trying to convey to the audience we reach out to, you're more than what we see on TV every day or every Friday night when you're doing the Blitz and things like that. And so talk to us a little bit about what got you off into broadcasting in the first place.
Well, I always loved sports. I mean, ever since I can remember. And I've loved watching it on television and following it and knowing who the best players were. And I've always loved it. And so from a young age, this was something I wanted to do. But I also got to a point where I realized that getting to a point where you make a pretty good living in this business is a little hard. So, I mean, now it's hindsight, right? But I mean, even when I was at a young age, because when I went to college, I actually went to college as an engineering major.
Okay. So broadcasting wasn't first, it was engineering. Okay.
And I really had no interest in engineering other than the fact that I knew that I'd probably make more money.
But you're going to make a lot of money.
There you go.
That's still true today.
And what do they say, right? If you do what you love, you
never work a day in life.
And that's how it's been for me. I ended up not doing well academically, trying to be an engineer. So I switched schools and I switched majors, and here I am. I don't make a ton of money, but I do love what I do.
Absolutely. Speaking of schools, talk to us about where you went to.
So I went to Michigan State out of high school.
Go Green.
Always a big Spartan fan growing up. You know, the family was. So you're born into it, right? Yeah. So I was born into it, and so I went to Michigan State. I always wanted to go to a big school, right? Mm-hmm. This is something I learned along my way. Is the reason that we have athletics in the colleges, a large part, is because people want to go to school there.
Exactly.
Because you can play for national teams.
Attendance. I'm telling you.
So I went to Michigan State and struggled academically. You know, it's a big change from high school to college, right? So didn't do well, and I switched to CMU. One of my best friends from high school actually went to Olivet College to play football, and then he had transferred to CMU.
CMU too. Okay.
And so I was sort of not knowing what to do next, right? Like I'd really never struggled in school because high school wasn't difficult like college was.
Rude awakening.
So I talked to him, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come up here?" And so I ended up moving up to Mount Pleasant. I did a year at community college so I could get in, and then did 2 years at CMU and did broadcasting, and here I am.
We love it. We love it, man. Speaking of CMU and that transfer, did you remember those class sizes compared to Belding?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a rude awakening?
A little bit. I mean, when I first went to Michigan State, it was 300 kids.
300 students in every class. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you come from Belding or Creston.
It's got to be intimidating from a 700 kids school to 300 kids in the class. That's crazy.
Yeah. Probably part of the reason I struggled.
I remember my wife and I, we went to Michigan State too, and I remember always getting a nosebleed seat at that. No matter how early you got to class, that mug was packed. I used to sit way up at the top. The professor looked like he was this big. You looking like, and bro, it was like Jay said, it's hard to keep up in your academics when that's the type of setting you're in and trying to learn in. So I was transferring to a smaller school, Central Michigan University being a MAC school compared to Big Ten. Was the classroom size different there?
It was, but I don't know if it's much because of the school as much as it was when I got to CMU. I had sort of gotten the general education stuff out of the way, and I was just in my major.
Into so what you liked.
That was more like a high school setting where we had about 30 kids in a classroom.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that, I don't really know because I left Michigan State kind of early, but I think that was just because I took chemistry. I was an engineering major. I took chemistry, classes, college chemistry.
Right.
No joke. Is what he trying to tell y'all.
High school chemistry.
Let alone, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
That's crazy, man. But Jay, that's awesome. So as you transition, when you got here, and he gonna talk to you about just with the Blitz, but a little bit about when you got your first career opportunity. What was that like?
Probably the best thing that could ever happen to me. So my last year at CMU, I only had to have one class.
Okay.
But I still needed 14 credits to meet the requirement to graduate. So I did an internship at the Fox affiliate in Lansing, which has just kind of made a comeback, but they were gone for a while. And it was at the time, it was rare that they only had 2 sports people. Everybody had 3. So they had 2 sports people, and I was their intern. Well, I needed a lot of credits. So I was like, listen, I'll work a ton of hours here to get more credit, and everybody was okay with it, and the sports guys there loved it because they needed help. So it was sort of like, here you go, figure it out, and they were just company policy, I couldn't drive a vehicle, but they would hand me a camera, and they would take me to a game and drop me off, and then I'm in college, and I'm just basically doing the job. So it was a great experience. The learning I got there was amazing. In fact, they actually hired me as a full-time news photographer before I even graduated from college, so...
Sometimes those things come full circle, and you're able to gain some valuable experience from that. That I'm certain that it prepared you for this.
No question. I get asked from time to time to speak to like high school kids about this, and it's happened recently to me. And I always just stress the internships because you don't learn. I'm sure it's like this in any field. You don't learn what you need to know in a classroom. Right? You gotta get out and do it.
You gotta get in the
real world experience.
Get out there, go to whatever you want to do, and get an internship and get some hands-on experience.
So, real quick, when you did that internships, you said you needed 14 credits. How many credits did that cover?
12. I was basically working full time.
Nice.
I did 40 hours a week, and I moved to Lansing, and I just drove to Mount Pleasant because I had a Wednesday morning class.
Wow.
Yeah.
And speaking to that same internship, you're probably one of the rare stories where you take the internship and actually get hired by the company. You got the inside track, so that actually was a beautiful thing. It worked out for you.
And you know what the best part about that was? That was 2004. In my first big assignment, I was covering the NBA Finals the year the Pistons won.
There.
I was there.
Rasheed, Ben Wallace.
That was crazy.
Chauncey.
Yeah. Those guys were awesome. Rasheed was a little tough. He didn't really want to talk to the media, but Ben Wallace, nicest dude ever. He would sit there and talk to the media as long as you wanted.
He's still like that to this day. He's still like that to this day.
The state was on fire at that time with the Pistons.
Absolutely.
Jay, speaking of that, man, what has to date, aside from that, been one of the biggest events you cover sports-wise?
What else besides that?
Yeah.
What would be considered biggest? 3 Final Fours, I believe. College football playoff when Michigan State got smoked by Alabama. 3 Final Fours: Michigan and San Antonio, Michigan State and Minneapolis, Michigan State and Indianapolis.
Okay.
Never did a World Series, even though Tigers have been twice since I've been here. But the World Series is in October.
Keep putting that out there. Next time they go,
exactly,
you'll be on it, right?
Exactly.
October's a busy month for me because of high school football. So
we need Jay at the World Series.
Right.
I have done 2 ALCSs. In fact, I did go to the ALCS in Boston when Big Papi at the Grand Slam and the Tigers lost Game 6. So, full disclosure, I am a Red Sox fan, so it didn't really crush me there. But, so some really cool stuff. But, when I look at it, those are the things that most people would consider. But covering the high school stuff is the coolest to me. Because I always say this. I covered John Beeline and Tom Izzo in Final Fours, right? And those guys are good people.
Yeah.
But if I see them somewhere, they don't have any idea.
Yeah.
But when I see my guy here, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We can stop and talk for a few minutes. We know each other.
Yeah.
So it's the relationships you build.
That is. That's so true.
So speaking of October being your busiest time, kind of take us through what a week in October would look like, having to cover all those high school teams that you do.
Yeah, so we're really football. I mean, because we're sort of short-staffed, so we're football-centric in the fall. So we're getting ready for Friday night. Now, we used to do an hour, and we've been pushed it back now. We do about 37 minutes, so it's not because they're shorter staff.
Yeah.
But so we'll spend most of the week. I'll be doing a little bit on the Blitz preparation. We got to get the rundown built, what games we're going to, who's going to what games, what vehicles, cameras. These are all difficult things. Believe me, it causes me lots of headaches. Right? But then we still have the daily things like today. I mean, it's May, so I'm not worrying about a 45-minute show on Friday night. It's a little easier. So I'm just doing my 3 minutes at 6, my 3 minutes at 10, at 10. But I still do those in the fall, and I'm also trying to get ready for that. So it's like I am way busier in the fall, but honestly, it's my favorite time of year because I live for the Friday nights in the fall. It's the absolute best.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we want to thank you, man. We want to give you flowers while you're here, man, for sure, because being a high school kid and getting covered by people such as yourself, man, is nothing like that feeling. Rushing home after the game, seeing yourself on the highlights. Did they put my play up? Did they put my play up? Calling everybody to make sure they're tuning in and watching, man. So we just want to give you kudos while we're here.
Well, that's the best. I mean, that's why we do it. And I love sports at every level, but at the pro level, it becomes more about individuals and money, and it's leaning that way at the college level. But at high school,
it's about love.
I'm telling you, the love of the game. Exactly. That's what makes it the best.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, you talked about how October is a busy month for you regarding football. Are there some things that you guys going to add on to the Fox 17 Blitz regarding football? Just anything regards, it could be key players, just anything. Do you guys think that you could add some highlights or just some extra things in regards to that this fall?
Always looking to add. At the moment, we don't have anything. I mean, there's a million things I'd like to do, but we just don't have the staff to do it.
Okay.
So we have to sort of work within those restraints. But I don't think we have anything too new coming up this fall. But there's still time. I mean, we'll get involved with the sales team in July, and they'll want to do some new things. And we always try our best to make them happen.
There we go.
Jason, to date, what's been the most recent and most memorable game, high school, that you've covered?
Well, no question, the Division IV state final in football. I mean, that Unity Christian team is one of the best I have ever seen. I'm not sure if they're on the 99 Creston level because I'm not that much older than you guys. I was a college student when you guys were on that team, but that was one of the best teams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, they set the state scoring record. And Chelsea showed up, and they played great, and they deserved to win. But I never in my wildest dreams thought that Unity Christian wouldn't win that game. And I think that maybe if they played it again, they would, but that's never going to happen. That's
the beauty of high school football, right?
And they got way ahead, just like we all expected.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea came back. That game was nuts.
I heard a couple. I heard during the game they lost. Their quarterback got hurt. Unity Christian or running back.
So their one of their best running backs got hurt in the semifinal win. Abe Rapoon, and so he wasn't able to go in the state final. So they played his backup, and that backup got hurt. So they had the Chandler twins who are unbelievable. So one was the quarterback and one was the running back. Well, they had practice. Craig Tibby's awesome, right? The head coach of Unity Christian. His son, Junior, is the backup quarterback to the Chandler twin that was the starter. Well, they had practiced that week, or so I was told, that they were going to move the Chandler twin back to the other running back and play the backup quarterback because now you're playing a backup instead of a third string, I guess. I mean, I have no fault with how they handled the game.
Right.
It seemed to make sense to me, but they fumbled a couple times, ended up costing the game. It's tough when you get two running backs down, right?
That's tough.
Yeah.
What about, you said the biggest game? What's some of your players? Some of the top players that you had to cover, not just some of the top players, man.
I always tell this story. So people ask me who's the best high school quarterback I've ever seen. Well, the answer is Chase Daniel. I lived in Texas for 1 year. I saw Chase Daniel his senior year of high school.
It's a dog.
He was. I mean, I've never seen a quarterback throw the deep ball and just never miss. Like, unbelievable.
I like Chase at Missouri.
Best Michigan high school quarterback I've ever seen is A.J. Westendorp, who played at Holland Christian.
Okay.
And they won the state championship with Willie Snead.
Okay, that was Willie Snead first.
And so, I mean, the games that year, they should have lost several times. And he just kept bringing them back. And he went to CMU, and they moved him to tight end. Couldn't even play quarterback in college. But the best I always say this, I am terrible at projecting kids. Absolutely awful.
Right.
I saw Kirk Cousins play at Holland Christian. I didn't think he was anywhere close to as good as A.J. Westendorp.
He's NFL
pretty
quarterback.
good in the NFL. He's Michigan State's all-time winningest quarterback.
That's
so I don't know what I'm talking about.
So A.J. was before Kirk, right? After. Oh, okay.
So he was 12 when they won it in 12. Kirk, I think, was 08 or 09.
Oh, okay.
There, somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's one that definitely stands out. Trying to think of who else has been great around here. The Chandler twins were great. There's been so many good ones.
Yeah, it's been.
I mean, Khalil Pimpleton just got signed to the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He's amazing.
I saw you tweeting about that this morning, and I was happy for that too, because Muskegon has had a pipeline of raw talent for years, man. And so I think this is one of the first times we had a hometown kid go to the Lions.
And he was a monster too.
He was a monster. He was sweet. And Michael Brown too.
Mike Brown, yeah,
he was a dog too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a dog.
I think KP can make the Lions. I
agree.
That's the perfect team to go to. You think about it. They don't have a lot.
But not only a lot, but I think he gonna bring that dog. You know, when you that undrafted player, you come in with that chip. His drive gonna be, and he's special.
And he always had that chip anyway.
But he's special.
Returner.
He's small, right? Yeah. And that's the knock on. I always loved small quarterbacks because I was a small quarterback. Right? I was too small.
5 feet, 85 pounds.
Nowhere close to as good as him, though. Not even in the same stratosphere. But yeah, I always root for those guys.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a perfect punt returner. I can see that.
Yeah, punt returner definitely. And like the Lions, you know what I mean? That's a perfect situation. You think about their roster last year. Like I tell people, you can't name more than 10 and 15 players on that team last year, Detroit Lions. Literally, you can't. You know, now he comes into a position, punt return, kick returner. He was number one, and I think he's a good slot too. You know what I mean? So it's definitely going to be opportunity for him, though.
Yep. You guys got me on the Muskegon thought now. Ronald Johnson.
Great
player.
Yeah, he was sweet.
He was really good.
And what about some of the best high school games you had to cover? Since you brought that Rojo, so I'm thinking about Muskegon and Lowell. I know they used to have some tough ones back then.
They did. I didn't cover that game. The game at Lowell that day. I was working in news, I believe, at the time, but I was at the game. I remember getting there. I think it was a 1:00 game. I was definitely there by 10 a.m. In line.
Because you knew.
Oh, the line was out the door. It was crazy. Yeah, so I was definitely at that game. I would say the best game I've ever covered, though, is the East Grand Rapids Farmington Harrison 5 overtimes. It was Orchard Lake St. Mary.
Yeah.
East Grand Rapids, Orchard Lake St. Mary, the 5 overtime game.
Yeah, that was classic.
DeMarcus
Grady.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Grady, man. Was it Calvin Grady? Calvin was the running back too, right? Or he got hurt.
I think those guys were before that. I think it was.
But I remember they went 4 overtimes or 5 overtimes against Orchard Lake. I swear DeMarcus Grady told me that. I remember.
I think it was.
It was DeMar. I think it was.
It was 05, right?
I think Jay talking about the 09 time.
I thought it was 08 or 09.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they run together. I'm not really sure.
I'm sure you got so many games that's running the scores and everything that's running together.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly. But that game was, I remember that game being crazy because we do our newscast at 10 and we did our report from the field, and the game was still going on.
Okay.
And then we finished the news, and then the game just kept on going long after the news was over, and that game was
Jay, when you guys bring teams to here, the facility, to highlight them, what is it like for the students? What do you see them being like, being able to come here and get brought on to be on TV?
Well, we don't usually bring them here.
Okay.
But, it's fun interacting with them, like, at the games and stuff. You never know what you're going to get, right? Like, and I've done this long enough that I know that some kids are more reserved and get. I mean, can you imagine? Like, I couldn't imagine like having that happen when I was in high school. I was good enough, so it didn't matter. But trying to have the camera put in your face and ask those questions, and some kids, they're a little quiet.
Yeah.
And then you run into some kids that they were born for it. Like Trout, if you guys remember Travis Russell played West Calic and then Ferris.
Oh yeah.
Like I have never interviewed a high school kid that was as well spoken. I mean, he was not nervous. Like he would get well thought out answers. I'm like, I could have never done it. Like, I still can't do it. And so it's just you get a little bit of everything. Some are really nervous and shy, and some of them are just ready to go. So it's fun. It's fun when you get those ones that love it.
Oh yeah,
that's sweet.
Jason, how has fatherhood changed you, and how has it helped your career?
Oh man, fatherhood that changes you for sure. I mean, I don't see things like I used to. Now when I see things about little kids, like it just automatically, it goes to my relationship with my kids.
Kids, yeah.
I can't deal with it when you see stories now of bad things happen to little kids. Like it's always been terrible, right? I've always thought it was terrible.
But now that you got your own,
because what if that
different.
happened to you?
Yeah.
And so that's a big way it's changed me. But I mean, it's changed me in such a positive way. I mean, I have I have 3 best friends.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are little still, so they're not quite to the age where they're like too good for dad. I'm sure we'll get there.
Are you still cool to them?
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah, right now.
You got a couple years left.
I'm doing good right now. So, it's so much fun just to have those guys always there to, to brighten your day. So it's great. I mean, it's the best thing that's ever happened.
I love it. And most say it. We'll go
Do
ahead.
you have any little broadcasters coming behind you that they try to jump in the truck and go with you or try to cover any of the games?
I don't know if they really want to be broadcasters. My oldest son Carter, when I get the mic, he'll grab the mic and he'll say something into it. It's always crazy. When we were in the pandemic, I was working from home a lot, so we used to have some funny things happen. Like, because I like you see a story on the news, you hear the voice, right? Well, we have a room back there that we do that in.
Yeah.
When I'm at home, I don't have that room, so all I do is I turn on the camera, turn on the microphone, and I just run my voice into the camera. But it doesn't matter what the camera's on because it's all going to be covered video anyway. Yeah. So I'm doing that one day during the pandemic, and my middle son, who's 7 now, he must have been 5 at the time, he saw me doing it. He walked over and he just kind of peeked around the corner of the camera. It was the funniest thing when you watch that video. You see this kid pop in there. Right. It was really funny.
Like, who is this talking in my house? Yeah. Is it cool for them to see dad on TV? Is that a thing?
The 2-year-old loves it. It's the older they get, the more used to it they get. But we have videos of them. They see me on television. My wife will videotape it, and they'll just start screaming and they get all excited. And stuff. Especially when you go on trips, right? Because I travel for the NCAA tournament, so then I haven't seen them for a couple of days, and then they see you on there and they get pretty excited. But I think for the 10-year-old now, like
my dad's on TV all the time.
He's kind of used to it.
Well, who is their favorite players or best people you have covered that they get excited about?
Oh, that's a good question. They're not. They don't really follow what I cover too much. I think my oldest son likes Jordan Spieth because I'm a big Jordan Spieth fan.
Okay.
My middle son loves the Lions. He loves the Lions. Right? So my parents got a full Lions uniform and helmet for his birthday last year now, so he can wear that to school on sports day. So he wants to watch the Lions. He can't sit through a whole game, but when they beat the Vikings, they got the first win, right? He was
all for it.
Right.
So he likes the Lions. I don't know if he has a favorite player. And then my 2-year-old, I don't know. I don't know if he knows
Not yet. Give him time.
Yeah.
Now, golfing is something you do. And I hear you do it very well. But talk to us about what got you off into golf.
Okay, very well would be relative. If you don't play golf very much, you might think I do it really well. But if any of you guys played as much golf as I did, you'd all be way better than me. Okay, as much golf as I play, I should be a lot better than I am. I shot 96 at Blythefield today and 24 over par, so could have been a lot better.
It's windy out today. It's windy, right?
Yeah, we're going to blame on the wind.
It was windy. So when I was a kid, my dad played golf, so I think I was 10 years old when I got my first lesson. I lived in the country out of Belding, and there was a small little 9-hole course called Ridgeview. It's no longer there, and it was 2 miles from our house. And so I used to go there. It was nice, a nice starter course because it's really short.
Gotcha.
So you didn't have to hit the ball very far. And they had a pro, Norm Davidson, who's still around, who used to do lessons. I did a lesson through there. I used to play that course all the time. And then when I got into high school and I realized that I wasn't going to grow or be very athletic, the football wasn't going to be my answer. So I did join the golf team. It was in the fall back then. And so that's when I really got into it. Then I got a job working at Candlestone, another course in Belding. And that allowed me to play free because I worked there.
Did you ride a caddy around a lot?
I did that a couple of times. Mostly I just washed the carts and picked the range.
Gotcha.
And so I played a lot of golf then and played on the golf team. And then it just kind of, I guess what you know is what you keep doing, right? When I got to college, when I went to CMU, I got a job at a golf course, and I could play for free. And then when I moved to Texas for that 1 year, I got a job at a golf course, and that was the best. That was probably the best I ever got at golf, was because in Texas I could play all year round. Now there were some. I was in North Texas, so there were some days where it was too cold. But I also remember 70-degree days in January where I was playing golf.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I worked at a lot of golf courses, and I played a lot of golf, and then you get to the fatherhood, and then golf takes a big time backseat. Right? But then I got to the point where between my 7-year-old and my 2-year-old, there's a gap there. So my wife works at 9 to 5, my older kids are in school, and here I am on a weekday not needing to go to work till 3 o'clock. I don't have anything else to do. I'm going to go play golf. So I started playing a lot of golf.
There, right?
And then I had the little guy who's now 2.5. So I think this will be the first summer I can bring him with me to the course.
Gotcha.
But for the last 2 years, I haven't played as much.
Do y'all peep how resourceful Jay is? Every job he has had since he's walked us through his career.
He's got to get to work at a golf course so he can play for free,
Exactly.
It's an expensive sport. And that's the only way I was going to be able to
We
play.
love
everybody
it.
says.
We love it. One thing I always need help with, and I'm going to lean on you for this, Jay, learning the clubs. Like all of those, the 9-iron, the putter. Like, how long did it take you to? Now, mind you, I know you abandoned football to go the golf route, but even back then till now, how long did it take you to adjust to knowing this is for this? If I need to hit it long, this is for that. If I need to hit it mid range, this putt is for this. Like, how long was that process for you?
Still going.
Wow.
Like, it is the most important thing. You have to know how far you hit your clubs. Well, today's day and age, they got TrackMan, right? So if you got $1,000, you can go get one, and you can just set it up on the range. And I don't have one.
Gotcha.
Okay, I got kids. I'm gonna take care of them.
He resourceful, and the money goes to the kids.
So usually you're just out on the range hitting the ball, and you got to try to figure out about how far you hit it. So that's really tough. That's why the pros, I mean, they know how far they hit every single club.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that I'm great at that. I mean, I have it down somewhat because I play enough. But this is funny. You get 14 clubs. That's legally what you can have in your bag. I haven't had 14 clubs in my bag. I don't know if I ever have.
Because you only used in a handful.
Well, no, just because I'm not spending money on golf. I'll be honest with you, I did just buy 3 wedges a month ago. So today was the first time I used them. Today's the first time I played. So I actually had 14 clubs in my bag today, but now I have a gap wedge, a sand wedge, and a lob wedge. So I was actually just learning how far I was hitting those today.
Wow.
So it's always a process. But then you also have to take into account wind. On a cold day like today, the ball just doesn't travel. If it's 80 degrees in the summer, the same club's going to go a lot farther. And then uphill, downhill, side hill, all those things all come into play as well. So
It seems like we got a ways to go, man.
We got a long way,
takes a lot of
but I take solace in knowing that Jay, an avid player, still don't know all his clubs.
Still struggles with that, right?
Sound like that'll be me. Out of the golf players, who has been one you gravitated towards watching?
Well, huge Tiger Woods fan as a kid. Absolutely loved him. So my uncle was the guy who stood on the tee at the Buick Open and said, "From Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, please welcome." So I've been going to the Buick Open since I can remember.
Wow.
I'll wait till it ended in 2009. And so I don't remember what year it was, but around like early high school area, I did get Tiger Woods' autograph on a Nike hat.
Okay.
Nice.
I couldn't tell you where that is now, although I do believe it's at my parents' house somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So I was always a big Tiger fan as a kid. And now that I'm older, I've always liked Jordan Spieth's my favorite golfer. I've always been a big Under Armour guy, and then he's just a good dude. Like he's good at golf, but he's like he gives back. He has his charity. He's nice to people. Like that's a big thing for me. Like be nice to people. There's never a reason not to be.
Exactly.
So I like people like that. But yeah, I was a big Tiger fan as a kid.
Awesome.
Nice. Just want to switch gears a little bit. I'm just thinking about your job in itself. What are some challenges that you faced daily, monthly, or whatever? What are some big challenges?
This is a good question. I just got asked this recently. Here's my number one answer. There's several challenges. I mean, lack of resources is a big one. Logistics, when we get into the fall and we've got this whole newsroom running, and then on Friday nights I need all the cameras and vehicles, that's tough. But the number one challenge for me is the way I feel like our industry is changing, right? Like it's 2022, and are people sitting down and watching the news? I tend to believe they probably aren't. Not like they did before.
No.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's this wonderful thing called the internet now. So for me, I try to focus, our team really tries to focus on covering things and doing things that we can get to people.
Yeah.
So you guys may or may not know this, but like if the Tigers don't play tonight, but if the Tigers are playing tonight, the game's on Bally Sports Detroit, I can record the game on Bally Sports Detroit, and then I can show the highlights, right? That's kind of what you think of when you think of local sports.
Yeah.
Problem is I don't own the rights to that video. So the only thing I can do with that video is put it on television. Can't put it on my website, right?
Copyright claim.
Right. So I like to do, that's what we do big with the local stuff for all the reasons we already talked about, because it's for the love of the game and all that. But also, like, that way we can get that stuff on our website, and then we can push it to people that way.
Gotcha.
Because I don't know how many people now are going, it's 6 o'clock, I got to sit down and watch the news.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you can get all that stuff. Like, because all of us are, all TV stations are doing that.
Yeah.
Our news department's doing that. All these stories, get them on the web, push them on Facebook, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing because I watch a lot of local sports. I don't watch the news. I watch sports.
Yeah.
And local sports is still being done like it was before the internet.
Yeah.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to not do it that way, which is different. Nobody else is doing that. And I don't know if it's the right thing or not. But that's what we're doing. So I would say that's the biggest challenge.
That's good
and
stuff.
We still have to cover the big stuff, right?
Right.
When the Lions go to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
is that going to happen? we got to cover it. But
Gotta have
I
people
try
in
to
a
find
vehicle ready, right?
different ways. Like, do I need to say Jared Goff drops back and finds Amon St. Brown? Like, that doesn't make sense to me anymore.
No.
So I try to find different ways to talk about the Lions or the Tigers, things like that.
What you think about the Lions with this draft? What you think?
I like the draft. Here's what I like. I've been complaining for years that you have to get to the quarterback because it's a passing league, and the Lions are drafting the secondary. And it doesn't matter if you're Deion Sanders. If the quarterback's got all day to sit back there, you can't cover.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they finally addressed the pass rush. I like that. But I really like the Jameson Williams pick.
Man, we all love that.
I love it for two reasons. Not only do I think he's going to be really good, but he's not going to be really good next year, which is even better because he's coming off the ACL.
Yeah.
So Lions can still not be great next year, get a high draft pick, and
Get
then
one of
all
those
go in
quarterbacks.
2023.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about
You
it.
see that visionary thinking?
But
Jay?
at the same point, I realize it's the Lions, and my whole life, they let us down.
Yeah, they probably win 10 games this year and mess it all up. Right?
If you predict how many games they win this year, what's your prediction?
I would say 6.
Yeah, that's a solid prediction.
It's hard though, you know, in the NFL. Who's going to get hurt? Who are you going to have healthy? Who's your opponent going to have healthy?
Right.
So I always laugh when people go through the schedule. I'm like, oh, that'll be a win. I'm like, well, are the Packers going to be a win or a loss if Aaron Rodgers is hurt?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Jay, I got one for you, man. One of the things that drove me as an athlete was I was always enamored with how do athletes go broke after their playing career is over. So it made me become very, very financially aware. What is one of the biggest money lessons you learned or have went through yourself?
Well, I've been very fortunate. Even though I wouldn't say I had a ton of money to play golf when I was young. My parents have been by no means rich, but always there to help me.
Yep.
So without that, I would have probably been in a world of hurt. I remember being in college, going to a baseball game, doing one of those credit card signups, so you get the free T-shirt or whatever.
Right.
Well, I end up activating the credit card, but I don't put the correct information down on that sheet, right? Nobody does. You're just trying to get the free T-shirt.
Yeah.
I ended up activating a credit card that didn't even have the correct information. So when I tried to pay the bill, they wouldn't let me pay the bill because
You wrote the
I
wrong
couldn't
information
even
down.
give them my social security number because I didn't give them my social security number.
Right.
I made up some numbers.
Right.
So I ended up getting in big trouble with that because they're like, you need to pay this. They sent a collection agency after me. I'm like, I've been trying to pay it, but you won't let me. So that was a big lesson.
Wow.
And I feel like we're doing pretty much better now. Like I still live in the same house, my original house I first bought in 2010 when the housing market was in a bad spot. So my house costs almost nothing. Now we've been looking to buy a new house for at least 7 years. But now the housing market's so out of
Good
control
luck with that, right?
that I don't want to give up my nothing mortgage for this house that's not worth what I'm going to have to pay for it.
Exactly.
Even though I got 3 bedrooms in my house and 1 bathroom and 5 people living in it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be money smart. You know?
Right.
So
You're doing it, Jay. You're doing it. You're making it work. We appreciate that, man. One thing we want to do is always highlight the financial piece because financial literacy is so key with athletes today. I know for myself, I remember saving my last $20 for the sake of being able to say I'm not broke. And so now, any chance we get when I see athletes, not only the ones that are being responsible with their money, I salute. But then I'm always on the lookout for the ones that are squandering their money because you only get a small window of opportunity to make the kind of money those athletes make at that level where you don't want them squandering away thinking they're going to get another payday. And so I love the fact that you're frugal, you're resourceful, you haven't tried to keep up with the Joneses. I talk about lifestyle creep. You've avoided that. You didn't trade in your nothing mortgage for a $300,000 house in this market,
Right.
that would have you now having to work even harder to make ends meet.
I can't imagine what I would have done if I was 20 years old and somebody gave me $1 million. Like, can you imagine? Like, I understand what these people go through, like losing all their money. Because what would I have done with $1 million at 20 years old? I didn't want to think about it.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have been smart.
Exactly.
I know that.
Exactly.
So it's tough, and you're right. It's so important.
Yeah.
You don't realize it either. You get $20, 20 years old, you get they win more than $1 million, right? I'm lowballing that, and you don't realize that you're not just going to always make that money.
Exactly.
Like you talked about. You just don't. It's hard.
I was thinking advancement. What does that look like for you? Are you looking to advance in your career? And then another question is on top of that, if you was on ESPN, I know if you watch ESPN, some of those NFL guys, who you picture yourself being?
Well, the first question, do I advancement? I'm never going to say never,
Yeah.
but I'm not actively seeking it. This is the area I grew up in. My kids' grandparents live here. As much as I dislike the cold weather, and I always want to live somewhere warm, and I promise you when I retire, I will be a snowbird. I will not live here. But right now, I want to be here because for my family.
Exactly.
So I'm not really looking to advance. I always had the dream, right? Everybody wants to get to the top, no matter what profession you're in. So to answer your second question, Jim Nance, and this is another interesting topic.
Okay.
Jim Nance is the guy I always wanted to be
Okay.
when I was a kid, right? Because he did my three favorite things. He did the NFL, he did college basketball, the NCAA tournament, and then
golf.
he did golf,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always wanted to be Jim Nance. And I don't know Jim Nance well, or I haven't studied him, but I believe he's on his second marriage.
You needed somebody to emulate.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine though
Yeah.
the lifestyle? Like he travels
All the
year
time.
round.
All
Like
year
I complain
round.
now when I have to go to the NCAA tournament in March because I don't want to be away from my family.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's traveling 9 months out of the year.
He's married to the travel. That's what it is.
Like
He's
how
married
can
to
you have a
travel.
life?
Yeah, that's
doing that?
crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you get a different perspective when you get a little bit older, I guess. But Jim Nance was always who I wanted to be because I wanted to do the NFL, college basketball, and golf.
Jim Nance is really good, man. Him and Tony Romo, they got a good thing going.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
it.
they
That's
do.
their team.
Where they do?
Yeah,
Right
on
about
CBS.
Yeah. Well, listen, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes,
It's
it
been an
has.
absolute pleasure. I think you hit everything out the park.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with us. We just want to encourage you. Also, tell you to keep up the good work. Although things are changing, we still tune in from time to time to check you out.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do. And I still believe wholeheartedly what we're doing with the Blitz. I think that's a little different because that's right after the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
People I
perfect.
feel like drive home,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
watch it.
Exactly.
And I feel
That's
like
the
that's
thing.
in a good spot.
That's huge.
I really appreciate you guys having me on.
You are more than welcome, and we thank you for having us as
Keep
well.
up the good work.
You bet.
Definitely.
Until
Appreciate it.
next time, guys, another episode is in the books. We had Jason Hutton from Fox 17 News, one of the best in the business. Make sure you check him out, but please make sure you tune in each and every week to check us out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.